Welcome to our 10th edition. Yes, our 10th edition of Four Comedians and a Hat. Critics, like myself, have said that this would never reach 10 episodes, but here we are proving my evil self wrong. I'm your host, Vincent Opper. I am the most successful comic to come out of Peevely, Missouri. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, do it now. All the cool kids are subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can find our YouTube channel at Gateway Comedy Scene. Go to YouTube, look up Gateway Comedy Scene. Or if you are on a PC right now or a Mac, just click on the icon at the bottom right corner. If you've not liked us on Facebook, you can like us on Facebook at Gateway Comedy Scene Friends. And there you can just hit that little like button and you'll know what we're doing all the time. If you have not followed us on Instagram, you can find us at Four Comedians and a Hat on Instagram. Today, we have an international show. We've had international shows in the past, Canadian comics, which really doesn't count. But now we are truly transcontinental, baby. Now let's meet our comics. Directly across from me is Bruno Interlandi. Everybody give Bruno a big hand.
Yeah.
Whoa. Bruno is a comedian, sometimes actor, real purebred Italian, trying to immigrate with comedy. He has nothing to promote right now, but in the future, he would be happy to create his own mic. That's awesome. So, Bruno, let me ask you, how is the Pope?
He's the Pope. He's a good guy.
Okay. Bruno, close friend with the Pope. At least I assume all Italians are close friends with the Pope. So let's give Bruno a big hand. Directly below Bruno, we have Ellen Wesley. Ellen, big hand.
Whoa.
Ellen is from Chicago, Illinois, home of a great musical. She is an emergency room doctor. She is a nice lady. She is a cougar in training. What kind of training do you have to do?
The first training you have to do to be a cougar is to don't date dead guys. That's the first one.
Ah, okay, all right. Comedy is her therapeutic endeavor. She says there is less liability, nobody dies, and people bathe. Well, both people bathe. She loves to teach too. See her on Dr. Ellen's Best Medicine show on YouTube. So, big applause for Ellen one more time.
Whoa.
Last but not least, directly below me, we have Michael Monkhouse. Give Michael a big hand.
You're right.
Michael is coming to us from Rome, Italy. Italy.
Yeah.
Well, it's Zoom, so you know.
So, Michael, how is the Pope?
Oh, he's all right. Yeah. He's my next door neighbour. Yeah, he's doing fine. Yeah. Well, apparently, because of COVID, he says we should all pray. So I'm convinced that if I say a couple of prayers, COVID will be finished by Tuesday.
Very good.
You know, it'll make all the difference, won't it?
You are the key. You are also a writer, a stand-up comedian, and a failed actor. How did you fail in acting?
Because I'm total and utter crap at it.
Oh,
if I could overcome my lack of ability and lack of endeavour and lack of commitment, I might be in with a chance. But until then, I'm buggered.
Well, I'm a failed actor too, and the reason I failed is I just couldn't hit the money shot. Okay.
I get money for it as well.
Okay.
Michael's career spans over 3 jokes, not 1, not 2, but 3 jokes. He is co-running Farm Comedy Club, Rome's only English open mic. Welcome, Michael. Big hand once more for Mike.
Cheers.
All right, just to prove everybody that I have an actual hat. Yes, it is the sparkly hat that I stole from the hooker or the pimp. The two. Are there any pimps anymore? That's
wow.
To be a pimp seems so misogynist. That seems so 1970s. I think we've evolved past pimps.
Well, in Italian, they're called protector, which I'm not quite sure how you're protecting a woman by selling it. It's the highest bidder.
But you pretend, you portray yourself as a protector, or you're the only one that can screw her up.
Not a very good protector, though. Doesn't convince me. I'm protecting you. If he's going to shag you, give me the money. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, that was my career ambition at one time, was to be a protector.
To be protected.
Yeah. I want to be self-employed, but I failed the interview.
Hey.
Well, I'm sort of like a hooker. I think it's sort of like a hooker.
You can't be like a hooker. You're a hooker or you're not a hooker. Right.
I'm a hooker.
Good.
I'm a hooker. They all have to have a happy ending. God damn it! Yeah.
All right, except the ones that die. All right.
Okay.
Okay, our first question, Bruno, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Bruno, how would you define genius?
Genius genius is when you, I think it's when you have an idea and you don't know where it comes. It's just instinct, pure instinct, and it's something that can change the way we think. It's just the way people live, maybe. Yeah.
Do you know who I think is a genius? Seriously. I'm
What's
not joking. I think
didn't
Damon
know.
Albarn is a genius. You know Damon
Yeah.
from Blur?
Who's
Right.
he? What does he do?
He's the singer of a pop group called Blur. And I think he's a genius because in the 90s, people were saying his pop band was the new Beatles. And his pop band were total and utter shit. But he somehow persuaded the journalist that he was like the new John Lennon. That for me is genius.
Wow.
Oh,
You know?
But God,
you listen
by that
you listen to Strawberry Fields Forever and then listen to the average Blur B-side, and how on earth did he persuade journalists he was the next John Lennon? Either they were desperate or he was a genius. I think it was a genius.
God, but then that means Donald Trump is a genius. He persuaded people of all kinds of shit.
Yeah, but
Oh, I
what was the
hate that.
alternative, you know?
no.
Yeah. I said to Donald and Melania Trump, can you think of an original slogan? They said, yes, we can. Yeah, no, but seriously, I thought it was really funny, speaking of genius, in America, because in America, they think Michael Moore is a genius, right? Do you know why?
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 Because he discovered that America is corrupt, right? And, oh my God!
Oh my
you know,
God, you're a genius.
well done. I was so shocked and skeptical at first, but after 3,000 hours of documentary footage, he places his case quite persuasively.
It's the ironic version of genius.
Is
Straight
that
over my head.
is that true genius though? When you just stand on the building that has already been built and you just put on the next floor, because that's what I see. Like,
Yeah.
It worked for Trump.
Yeah.
is that really genius? You know, if I had thought about it, maybe in a maybe I chewed on the wrong weed or something. Hey man,
Everyone
a political thing with a farm, you know. So I kind of like what
everyone
Bruno
works in a
said.
Genius
context.
is just a kind of side thought. When you see things in another way, maybe you think you see tweets, the crossing. No.
Yeah. Well, it's pointing something out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Genius too is when you spur society forward, that you have a perspective somehow that encourages progress. I mean,
well, and the other thing about genius, it's only recognized after you die. I think that's my problem.
I hate that when that happens.
Well, that's why, because you're not around to enjoy it, are you? You know, that's the unfortunate thing. You know.
And I think the problem with genius, because it's so different, is that people are they're often misrecognized as an asshole. You know, it's like the asshole genius, thing.
There's a fine line between genius and just being an arsehole, isn't there, really?
The fine line is whose glasses are looking at it.
Yeah.
And if their head is on straight.
Well, it's like, Charlie Chaplin. People say Charlie Chaplin was a genius. Charlie Chaplin realized that Hitler was a bastard and made a film about it. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
well
but he was a genius because everybody's head was up their ass.
He bores the crap out of me, Charlie Chaplin. He really does. I can't watch him. Give me Laurel and Hardy are geniuses, actually, because the great thing about Laurel and Hardy is that everybody likes them after 100 years. I can't think of any comedian who would still crack people up after 100 years. So maybe there's a genius in simplicity. Maybe that's the point of Laurel and Hardy, because they're not pretentious. They're not fixed to a certain time or a certain idea. They're just universal.
Not always. Carlin was a genius.
Who was that?
George Carlin was a genius.
George Carlin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Totally a genius.
Yeah, really.
Is Mitch Hedberg, was he a genius?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you listen to his really old stuff before he put into that quirky delivery, when he was just doing a normal delivery, they were just weird jokes. They wasn't anything great. It was his delivery.
Yeah, but everybody starts from something. Do you know what I mean? It's like the first Beatles were just a rock and roll covers band. They were terrible. I've heard them. You know, the early, there was an interesting book, Sylvia Plath, and it was her early work. And a friend of mine read it. And I said, I don't know why everyone loves Sylvia Plath. And I said, that's because this is just history. This is like for the, you know, the obsessive. You've got to see the mature work. You know, it's like when geniuses die and all this, you know, these diaries and rubbish and that kind of stuff comes out. It's like with Sylvia Plath. After she died, they published her diaries, and because it's Sylvia Plath, everything she says has to be always like. There's one bit. I'm not joking. Right, my sense of humor is far more sophisticated than this. There's one bit where she's talking about picking her nose in the back.
No, really?
No.
Yeah. And like anybody else, you think I'm bored. I'm going to write about picking my nose. But because it's but because it's Sylvia Plath, all the critics say this is the dark side of Plath. This is the fearless. He's not afraid to talk about subjects that most people find uncomfortable. This was the genius that would let you know. It's just bullshit.
But the picking your nose was the light side of Sylvia Plath, right? Probably.
Yeah, but because it's her, people have to find all these. You know, like it was.
I love that.
To tackle this.
But now, Vincent, where did you see the early Mitch Hedberg stuff?
I was watching a
YouTube,
documentary
probably.
on him,
Okay.
and I saw some of his early stuff, which was some of the jokes that he used, but he didn't do it with the delivery that he's famous
That
for.
is, I don't know because he's not very big in America, but he's very big in England. Jack D. Do you know Jack D?
No.
Jack D is famous for a very acid, sarcastic delivery, and he discovered it by accident, right? Because what happened was he had all this material, and he was the typical, all right, at the back, big round of applause. How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? And it was a disaster, and he decided he was going to give up. This is absolutely true. And he went on stage. It was his last ever gig, and he thought, fuck it. So instead of saying good evening, he went, good evening, great to fucking be here. And he got a big laugh. And he did the entire routine with that very sarcastic, dry voice. And the same gags that were going badly were now getting people in hysterics just because of his persona. And, you know, it's fascinating. He discovered that persona by accident.
So, but it's fun.
We need to move on to the next question.
Okay.
So, Ellen, are you ready?
I am ready.
Ellen, what was the best invention of the last 50 years?
Starbucks, I think.
No.
Embarrassing, you know, and the really best part of the invention of the past 50 years, so you can tell I'm a real humanitarian. I care about the underdog. Starbucks, oh my God. But the best part of that invention is when they made the coffee taste better, because for the beginning of it,
Even
it was
better.
all just too burnt.
Even better. How can you improve on perfection?
So yeah, Starbucks, maybe some kind of vibrators. I don't know. I'm still studying on it. Now, if they sold vibrators at Starbucks that were waterproof, that would be okay. But
There's something there. Yeah.
And by Starbucks,
That is genius.
This is genius. They sell.
right?
Yeah.
People
Well,
don't like that, but you know,
They
as
they're
Bruno
easy to sell
and I-
that coffee, but they sell it only because they they put the name on the glass.
Well, it gets you excited. Well, coffee excites you, doesn't it? So,
Yeah.
Well, as Bruno and I know, because we live in Rome, they tried to bring Starbucks to Rome, which I think is hilarious.
They
'cause
failed.
Well, exactly, because in English there's an expression, Coles to Newcastle, and it's the same as Starbucks to Rome, basically. If there's one thing the Romans are good at, it is coffee, so we don't need you.
I've got to go to Rome then. I'm on my way right now.
It's the one thing we're good at.
Yeah.
Right?
Do
We
they
crap
need
at
an
everything
extra?
else.
Do they need an extra doctor for the COVID?
It's not something that I've searched on the internet for, so
But I
it's a
will.
very specific request. I don't get asked that very often. Yeah.
So yeah, the best invention of the past 50 years. Oh my God. Yeah, coffee, something good like that. You know what? High-waisted blue jeans for women. That's huge.
Yeah.
Much
I
better.
think it's funny. I think it's funny that Mormons can't drink coffee because it's a stimulant. But they can. Yeah, but they can have 20 wives. So 20 women in your bed is not stimulating at all. Glass of coffee. Fucking hell! Stop it, Satan! Get thee behind me. But it's cool.
But Mormons do not believe in blowjobs. So you can have the 20
They
wives
believe in them.
around
They just
you.
don't like
They
them.
leave it.
You're kidding me. I
Why?
thought that's a reason to have all those women to get
Okay.
blowjobs.
Do you
Get
remember
20 blowjobs.
I don't remember which sex scandal it was because we have so many, but Donny Osmond was doing a show at that time, and one of his guests asked him, I think it was the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky thing, asked him, you know, do you engage in oral sex? He said, no, it's against our religion. I thought, wow, that's, you know.
Well, I don't remember that bit in the Bible, like, you know, thou shalt not get sucked off. I think I missed that bit. I was brought up good Catholic boy. Yeah, I can't remember. There was a great comedian. I can't remember who said this, and he said, this is the new Good Samaritan, right? The new Good Samaritan. He walks along the road. He sees the man dying, bleeding, and he says, I must help the person who did this. That's the way we think there, you know.
Oh, yes. No, that's painful. That's too close to my line of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a guy a few months ago who got shot in the almost penis.
No.
What was
He
that?
has an almost penis. What is an almost
Lucky
penis?
man.
Almost penis is just high enough, you know, right by there's like a fat pad, and it skimmed it and didn't hit the penis, but it was swollen in that
It
area.
skinned his foreskin.
And that's
right.
the medical term. And your medical school, this is the penis, and this is the almost penis, right?
That was too technical for me. Yeah, it's like there was a friend of mine, and he said, you know, there was this sort of rumor that he was going out with someone else from the same, you know, background, and he said to me, he said, we had a half relationship. Yeah. And I said, how can you have a half relationship? What is that? You just put your penis halfway in, you know, just touch one tip. Empty one ball. I mean, you either do it or you don't. You know what I mean? You can't, especially if you're a man, you can't sort of do it halfway and stop there.
Hey, wait! If
I
you
don't know
do
you
a
that
one
well,
boob,
darling.
I'm in luck. I'm in great shape then. I had breast cancer. That one is fake and one is real. I could do that.
Yeah. You could have a half
Just a
relationship.
half one.
Yeah.
I'll say, look, you don't get to see
Like
this
the
one.
healthy, yeah.
I love that.
Right.
You have to. There's got to be. There's always a bright side.
Oh yeah, because I think that women are superior to men, and I can prove it because of tits. Because even gay men like tits. Right? Straight men do not like penises. Right? I have a gay friend. He's 100% gay. He's completely gay, and he said even I like tits. When I see a nice pair of tits, I want to play with them. I said I don't have the same reaction when I see a penis. Yeah. Right. So that's nice. I want to touch it. No.
Okay, moving on. Before I do move on, Ellen, are you eating cheese?
No, you know what this is? It's a paper towel.
Okay. Why are you eating a paper towel? What kind of a doctor are you? You don't eat paper towels.
Well, I didn't. I stopped. The cup is too big, so I thought this would be more polite to like do this.
Oh, okay. I see. All right, Michael, are you ready for your first question?
Mm-hmm.
In 40 years, what will people be nostalgic for?
Probably they'll be nostalgic for real communication, face-to-face communication, because it's dying out, right? They will not be nostalgic for COVID. They'll be fascinated by COVID, right? Because it's such a strange situation. I think that the old-fashioned communication, I think that and paper pornography. I think people will miss paper porn. I miss paper porn. Because when I was growing up, pornography was a mission, right? It was taboo. It was hard work getting it. And paradoxically, I think that was part of the fun. That was part of the satisfaction. You worked for it. You know, you had to save up your money, go all the way into town, find a place to hide it, pray that nobody found it. And then paradoxically, that was what made it fun. Whereas kids these days, you just go onto the internet, boom, there it is. It's the same with music. Because when I was a teenager, I was a big Beatles fan, and I used to love accumulating Beatles albums gradually, you know, one a week, you know, digging out rarities. And now you go onto YouTube, you can find anything. You know, you can find old demos by John Lennon that were never released, and it's just boring. And I think paradoxically, I think people will miss the sort of the element of work that went into relationships and, you know, hobbies and things like that. It's like art, you know, like people want to watch it, you know, you want to see a beautiful painting, you know, go to the gallery, and people say, oh, it's all online. It's not the same, is it?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I seriously do not know the answer to this. Back in my day, when you were a band or a musician, you put out, in my day, it was vinyl and the 8-track, then it became cassette, then it became CD.
I remember the cartridge. It was like that big.
Yeah. I don't know how, I mean, I can still go into a music store with very little or left, and I can still see like CDs for sale. But for the most part, everything's streaming. How does like an artist put out new material?
Yeah.
Well, you see, this is very
get paid for it, because
Yeah.
I pay $9.99 a month, and I get
There's
all
a
the music
bunch
I
of stuff.
need.
Yeah.
I think they make some money, like when they put stuff out on Amazon and Spotify. There's a lot of people that are putting out
on
comedy
Spotify they
albums.
pay the royalties,
A friend of mine put out a comedy album.
but it's not like when you sell the CDs.
Yeah, because I mean, I
It's
remember
a lot of less.
Yeah, because I remember when I first had pretensions to being a writer, it coincided with the explosion of the internet. So I'm talking about 2008.
Yeah.
And it's very strange, but you know, in those days, if you wrote an article and you put it on a website, you almost felt like you were publishing, and you know, used to put it on your CV. And now it's the opposite. Everybody, if you're not, you know, if you're not available on the internet, you're dead or a criminal.
Yeah,
Jimmy Savile.
that's it.
All right. So yeah, no, but I mean, I sometimes wonder the same thing. You know, how these people survive. It's like artists. You know, like when you see painters, you know, and you walk past the studio, there's nobody there. They sell like one painting a month. You know, how do you do it? Practically.
No.
I'm wondering how they all end up starting at number one, though. Because everybody that I know that's put out like a comedy thing, they're like number one. They on Spotify or whatever.
Yeah,
it's all about marketing.
But does that mean they know 1 million people, or does that mean it's
a lot of it's fake?
No.
A lot of it's fake.
A lot can be fake. Yes, they said they discovered something on Spotify. They used bot to raise up on.
There's well, I mean, it's illegal, but for example, if you open, I'm told, if you open like a new company and you want support on your Facebook page, there are companies and you pay them money and they generate a number of followers. But you see, the problem with it is that if you open a Facebook page,
there's no engagement. There's no engagement, and now social ads are looking at engagements a lot.
Exactly, and that counts more now. So if you have like 1,000 people and then you put 10 posts and nobody likes it, I think, you know.
There's some
as we say in Italian, no. You know.
You guys, find the best coffee places in Rome, and I will be there.
What is the best coffee place in Rome, Bruno?
Coffee place in Rome.
Yeah.
I found the coffee.
There's one at Piazza Navona, isn't there?
There's one in Piazza Navona, yes.
Yeah.
He do Italian Napolitan coffee.
Nice. The best coffee in Rome is Napolitan. Great.
I'm more patriotic.
Okay.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Bruno, we are now going to get into a very more philosophical realm here.
More philosophical.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. Without religion, would people become more, less, or equally morally corrupt?
I think there will be the same. Well, religion has done some obstruction on morality, and it served to, in some years, to take care of people and avoid some bad manners. But I think going on ethically, they will not need it more. Just to be morally.
I feel like there's like that too. There's more of a generally accepted morality that doesn't require religion to be there.
I honestly don't think it'd make. I don't think it'd make any difference, because if there wasn't religion, people would use politics or philosophy to justify themselves, like like Hitler was doing. Hitler put himself in the tradition of the old, pan-Germans and like people like Bismarck. So people always find an excuse or like a pretext for the terrible things they do. Without religion, they'd find something else.
I was a minister for 10 years, and my mother was not religious at all. She was very agnostic. And the only time we ever had a discussion about religion, and I asked her, why don't you participate in any type of faith? She said something that it really did transform my life as far as the way I saw myself as a clergyman. She said, because I get better treatment, I get more respect with the people that I work with, that I socialize with, than any person that I've ever met when I went to a religious service. And I mean, that was a biting criticism to me, but you know, over the years I realized, I mean, she's right.
Yeah.
It's the old Depeche Mode song, people are people. You know, I don't care if you're
I thought it was
religious, I don't care
blasphemous
what
rumors.
religion you are, I don't care if you're non-religious, people are people.
Yeah.
There's good, there's shit, and there's everything in between, no matter
You know,
what the philosophy of life
That's it.
is.
I can never remember any Depeche Mode. It's nothing personal, Jesus.
Oh, I have a bad problem. I can't forget it.
Yeah. Well, no, but I think that's very interesting. But I think that's more a problem of the church not doing its job. I don't think that's a
Yes,
reflection
that's
on the religious faith. I mean, it's like the famous when John Lennon was massacred for saying the Beatles are bigger than Christ. He wasn't saying that it's right. He was saying that the church is not doing its job properly. They've allowed a pop group to be more popular, and they were more popular. It was just a fact.
Yes.
He wasn't saying they were better or more important.
I thought he meant that the Beatles albums were here and Jesus was always number 2 with his releases. That's what I thought he meant. We were thinking, right.
I don't know.
I didn't even know Jesus' songs.
Well, no,
Now
the
they're probably
hilarious
fans.
thing.
No.
No, but the hilarious thing in America is that after that comment, they had organised burnings of the Beatles albums. And 10 years later, they had organised burnings of Sex Pistols albums, and they were singing George Harrison, My Sweet Lord, while they were doing it. So make your own mind up.
I think that organized religion is less Christian than.
These Americans are severely limited, maybe.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
There's a huge problem.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I mean, people.
I've seen more that sustained Trump that was for Trump only because he was against abortion or against gay marriage, and I couldn't think so.
Yeah, but you see, this is
moral.
Yeah, but that's the problem with any political group or religious group. There's always going to be something you don't agree with. You know, it's impossible. There's one philosophy. Every single thing they say is the same as you. You know.
It's obvious that Trump is an asshole. You can vote him only because he's against abortion.
Yeah. Well, no,
So-
but people.
But I've always heard that Catholicism is sort of the inverse relation, that the closer you get to Rome, the wilder people get, and the further away you get from
Look at
Rome.
me.
Yeah, is that true?
Yeah.
Are they more religious the further you get from Rome? I'm a Jew, so it's important to know.
No, I wouldn't say that's true. I think it's a bit of a
I'm
generalization.
Christian. I'm evangelical, so.
So, Ellen, are Jews more devout the further away they get from Jerusalem?
Jews are such a mixed bag. I can't even say no. I think it just depends, you know. It depends on who you're trying to impress or not trying to impress, or what community. I mean, when you guys were talking about different churches, I thought how every time I went to a temple to try out going to a new temple, how different was the quality of the way people treated each other.
Yeah.
So it didn't even have to do with being Jewish. It had to do with that community.
Yes.
And then, you know, if you can't pay whatever thing it is, you're screwed altogether. So,
No, but I mean, I like it when people believe something, even if I don't agree with it, you know. Because, like, for example, you know, I'm kind of Christian myself, and I prefer atheists to agnostics, because at least atheists have thought something through. Agnostics is like, I don't fucking know. You know, it's like, do you believe in God? Yes, no, I don't know. Have you thought about it? Yeah, I don't know. I can't wait.
it's funny though, atheists can be so rigid. I like it that they have
They're more
principle.
Do you know something really interesting, right? Is that I'm a lefty. I'm a lefty, but I think that lefties are more bigoted than right wingers, right? In the sense, no, really, because I'm very left wing, and I went to a right wing college when I was at university, And the strange thing is that I think we are more bigoted because right-wingers will argue a point, even if you don't agree with it. Whereas left-wingers, the minute you go out of the comfort zone, you fascist, you're not my friend on Facebook anymore. You know, I mean, the perfect example was, I don't know if you heard about this, but there was an alternative comedian, Ben Elton, in the 80s. He's crap now. He used to be very good. And he was very left-wing. And his passions in life were comedy and musicals. And he became famous as a comedian, so he started writing musicals with Andrew Lloyd Webber, who was very right-wing.
Wow.
And what was strange was that Ben Elton was massacred for selling out, and Andrew Lloyd Webber was praised for being open-minded. All right, isn't that interesting? You see? And it was exactly the same with John Lydon, right? John Lydon from the Sex Pistols, because everybody who loves John Lydon says, I like him because he says what he thinks. And then about 6 months ago, John Lydon said, vote for Trump, and everyone hated him, right? Yeah. So what it means, when I think that when you say, I like people who say what they think, it just means I like people who say what I think. Do you know what I mean? And I actually think that left-wingers are actually more rigid. You know, it's like you say with atheists. I think atheists are more rigidly minded than, you know, Christians, because Christians can argue a point. You know, atheists is like, no, because religion's done this and that. And, you know what I mean?
I'm left wing and I stand by my judgmentalness.
I'm convinced that I'm right, seriously, but you know, right wingers they will argue a point in a way that left wingers get very uncomfortable. You know,
that's so interesting.
It's like, you know, on Facebook, you can unfriend somebody on Facebook because they have a different opinion. You know, it's so childish. You're not my friend anymore, and they get their friends to you know, you're not my friend anymore, and my friends are not going to be your friend either. I think you smell.
I get it. I'm not going to speak with to the political aspect of it, but I get why atheists are so militant. It's because when I was growing up in the church, in the Protestant church, atheists were enemies. We had to be on guard against their godlessness. And if I was an atheist, the way that the Christian church, at least in America, picked on atheists for decades, I would be a little militant.
It's exactly the same with women and men. You know, which is I see this all the time in stand-up comedy, which is that women.
You're a white male.
I grew
white male.
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah,
you can
and like, well, no, really, because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and it was a good time because there was the idea of kind of equality between men and women. I'm not saying things were great; they weren't. And now, you know, you watch these female comedians, and they demolish men. You know, I can take a joke, but it's kind of venomous and morbid. And then the minute any man makes any comment against any woman, it's you misogynist, get him out of here, you know? And it's because it's kind of like Animal Farm. You go from one dictatorship to another dictatorship, and the other one's worse. You know?
And I think women may actually be more vicious. I say that
they
from being in the
are.
work
They're horrible.
Don't feel bad. When I speak ill of women, I get shit too.
Yeah, but it's different coming from a woman, you know.
Not necessarily. You can feel their back go up, you know, and they're very. It's you know, you're not in. They're very selective of who gets to be in their club, and
yeah, I know they're very cliquey. Actually, they've got to be very careful. It's like I said before, when people, well, no, like what I was saying before, you know, when people say they're open-minded, what they mean is they have opinions and they like it when you share their opinion. You know, and if you say anything uncomfortable, I've actually been banned from certain places in Rome because of my big mouth. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
In Rome?
Yeah.
I thought you're supposed to have a big mouth in Rome.
Yeah. You can have a big mouth as long as you say what people want you to say.
Wow.
Okay, we need to move on. This is getting too serious. Let's lighten it up. Ellen, are you ready to lighten it up?
You started it.
Ellen, what used to be considered trashy?
Oh yeah, ready to lighten it up. Okay.
Okay, what used to be considered trashy that is now very classy?
Wow, my underwear.
Okay.
Because if you do it right, it's an art. Depends on where you put the lace, where you buy it. The thing is, you want to have nice lacy underwear. Leaves a little bit to be imagined. and doesn't fall off. There you go.
Wow.
My underwear. Well, but I mean, this is true. It's like free association, and I'm doing internet dating a little bit. I am actually, that means I look at people until it scares me, which is not very long. But if I'm going to have a date, though, right? You know, this is where the body part issue comes into focus. But so before we get to the body part issue, I have to be willing to meet them in person, which does not happen often. But I'm like, wait a minute, I have got to start thinking about the underwear. First of all, it's called lingerie, I guess, when you get to that point. But and it's classy. You know why? It's classy if you know how to be a real woman. You know, it's not like being a hooker. It's, yes, I can do these things right that are things that women want to do to men to make them feel happy. Ah, there, that's very nice, isn't that? Yes, I just loaded it. So yeah, I mean, you want to have technique. You want to have technique. And it is not trashy. It is classy to have the right technique. Yeah. See, you got to be vague, right? You got to just sort of allude to this stuff. I am a professional. But yeah, what else? That's pretty good. I think that's.
I knew a lady who, when she was in college, she would wear the most unattractive underwear because she did not want to get in a position where she couldn't say no anymore. So she always had in the back of her mind, this man I'm dating, I'm out with tonight, cannot see my underwear because it will embarrass the hell out of me.
What, so she was dating and not trying to have sex. That's the opposite of a man, isn't it?
Well, she wasn't really dating. She was just, she'd be out partying. She was in college.
Oh, okay.
That would stop.
Yeah,
that would kind of put a stop to things getting too far, because she knew within herself she didn't have the ability to say no when she's been drinking like just about everyone else.
I get it. So she was scared.
Wow.
She was scared of going too far. Yeah, because that's another thing that I love. That there's a woman that I know, and like every day she's like, men are shit, men are useless, men are the inferior sex. And I say, fine, that's how you feel. What are you doing tonight? Going on a date. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
All right, we need to move on because we have a time crunch now. So I'm going to go to the final question with Michael. Michael, are you ready for your final question?
Yeah, go on.
What is the funniest joke you know by heart?
Funniest joke I know by heart. My favourite joke. This is my joke, right? And it's it says in the Bible, "Love your neighbour." That's why the priest moved next to the kindergarten. Thank you. Yeah, my best clean joke. I'm very proud of this joke. It's the only clean joke I know, and it's I used to hate my job, but now I'm an astronomer, and my job is looking up. That's my clean joke. I'm glad you like it.
Okay.
All right, Ellen. Best joke you know by heart.
Best joke I know by heart. Oh my God. I can't think of anything. My ADD is terrible.
All right, let's go to Bruno.
Well, I'm thinking. I made some jokes in Italian. I don't know if you can understand. Maybe on fascist, there's the political right. I think if they make the same as in America, there will be the first time they will be on the parliament.
There was one Italian, I can't remember, about bats, and I don't know, I can't remember. It's something about bats are like Italians with Mussolini, like something smelly upside down. I can't remember. Got to dig that one out. Yeah. Do you know my favourite joke? Right, it takes a while.
No.
This is not my joke, but it's my favourite joke. If you really want, you sure you want to hear it?
Sure.
All right,
Okay.
all right, go on. Right. It's about, I used to work. I'll try and shorten it down. We've got a time problem. I used to work in a zoo, and our star attraction is a very rare breed of gorilla, and we're very lucky because we have a male and a female gorilla. So we're hoping that they will mate, but unfortunately, the male gorilla dies. And this is a huge problem because it's our major source of income. So we have a big brainstorming session. We can't go to Africa. It's too expensive. We probably can't find one. And even if we find one, it can't live in captivity. So in the end, a friend of mine, he says, listen, I've got an idea. Right, hear me out. I have a friend who is rather hirsute, right? He's a bit hairy, technically speaking, and he's very open-minded sexually, and he'll do anything for money. And I say, you're not suggesting that your friend has sex with a gorilla in the hope that it will, and he says, you got any better ideas? And he says, no, but I said, no, but how are you going to persuade him? And he says, €1,000. I said, where are you going to get €1,000? And he said, I've got €1,000 in the bank and I'm going to put it up to save the zoo because I love this zoo. But if I put up the money, you do the talking. I said, all right, I'll give it a go. So I'm chatting to this guy, right? It's a true story. And I say, listen, I've got a business proposition. Before you say no, it's for €1,000, right? Think about that sum, €1,000, right? Will you, for €1,000, have a relationship with our gorilla? And he says, well, I already have a relationship with a gorilla. I say, oh, brilliant. And he says, yeah, I go to the zoo once a month and it's my favorite part. And I go, you don't understand. Listen, I want you to take the relationship to the next level. And he says, what, like, ask her for a pint? I don't think she drinks. And I say, you don't get it. Listen, I'm just going to come out with it. Will you, for €1,000, have full sex with our gorilla? And he goes, yeah, why not? Yeah, I can do that. And I said, oh, thank you. You have just solved a crisis. And he says, yeah, but hang on. There are certain conditions, right? There are 3 conditions. I say, fine, at this point, just tell me. It's going to be all right. I can guarantee it. That's good. Number 1, nobody knows. I say, fine. He says, number 2, I choose the time and the place. I say, good. He says, number 3, this €1,000, I pay in installments, please. I liked it.
Okay.
It takes time, but it's worth it. I shortened that down, believe me.
All right. Well, we need to take off here. I do want to thank our guests again. One more time. Big hand for Bruno.
Whoa.
And a big hand for Ellen. And a big hand for Michael.
Yes.
We want to remind you all of the social media stuff above my head. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to our Gateway Comedy Scene channel, and follow us on Instagram. We will see you next week. Thank you.